Hello. Happy Thursday. That was a little high pitched, wasn't it? How are you guys doing? I'm just checking. I kind of bumped my camera a little bit. Trying to see here. If I can get it all on there. All right. We're making gifts today, and we're going to be doing 2 gifts. We're going to be doing this reusable shopping tote by Ruby Star Society and on the Moda website for free. And we're going to be doing the cozy slippers by Blank Slate Patterns as well. You got to be a newsletter subscriber to get her little code to get the free pattern. So we're going to be doing both. So I'll probably only do 1 tote and then 1 pair of slippers so that I can make sure I get through it. My streams have been so long lately, and it's a lot. So hello, Mrs. Necro, how's it going? We are almost through the week. For you, I work on Saturdays too. So, but on Mondays, I confuse everybody because I'm always like, oh, what'd you do today on your day off? And they're like, it's Monday, Sarah. I'm like, oh, sorry. So I got used to the Monday off thing really quick. I thought at first I was not going to be into it, but I kind of like it. All right. I'm going to, just looking for the little pockets. There they are. These things are covered in fuzz from those slippers. So I read through the directions, and this is going to be kind of a fun sew because there's a pleat in it, and you are supposed to stuff it into the little pocket. So I think that's kind of interesting. And look at this. When I cut these out, can you see my pocket on here? Remember when I was like, which bird should I aim for? And I aimed for this one, and it matches my bag perfectly. Look at that. So may you have that kind of good luck throughout your life because that was pretty amazing. All right, so let's see. I think, let me look at the directions so that I kind of stick close. Oh, I need to change my thread color too. I changed it for the serger because I'm going to serge the straps. I'm going to take these magnets off actually too. That was too many magnets to be on my machine. And I'm going to change it to the navy blue thread, which is not this. I changed it on my serger. That's pretty good. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so confusing, isn't it? Oh, I left my scissors somewhere, and I told myself, don't leave your scissors here. They're right here. Hey, Penny, how's it going? Are you on SIP up there? Is that a lockdown acronym? Pretty sure we are, but my county probably won't abide. Hi, Allison. You weren't able to find it? Here, I'll show you where it's at. Let's see. And I'll give you a link to it. Since I don't have a moderator here, I can do that. So let's see. I'm gonna get there. And let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna show you my screen so you can see where it's at. I gotta find it. Shelter in place, that's what it is. I was trying to make that stay at home. Yeah, but I work alone here, so I'm still coming into work. All right, so here's my computer. You can see this is my stream right here. This is you guys. All right, so let's pull this over here. Is my face in front of it though? I can't remember. Does it cover it up? It doesn't cover it up, right? Okay. So right here, if you just go to the Moda Fabrics website and you go to Inspiration and Resources and you scroll down to Free Patterns, pretty sure it's not very far down. Here it is right here. And then I'll put it in the chat. You don't have to jump through any hoops to get it. There you go. And then they have all kinds of patterns on there. I haven't even looked. There's just no shortage of things to sew, are there? All right, got my scissors. Let's change the thread. Are you in shelter in place as well, Penny? The world's kind of crazy. I went and picked up food the other night from somewhere that we go pretty often, a Mexican place that we really like. And there was someone in there. For the first time since I've been going there, there was someone in there not wearing a mask. Not one of the workers. It was a customer. And he had this pretty aggressive air about him. And I was like, God, really? Come on, man. Hey, Melinda. How's it going? I know. I was like, do I make masks for my family as Christmas gifts? Because maybe they would like a new one. Or are we just ready to see the back end of that, you know? All right, here we go. Just changing my thread. And we're going to make this little bag. Did that link work for you, Allison? Or are you lost on their website looking at patterns now? I can see that. All right, I'm going to try and follow the directions. So in the cutting video, I didn't go through the steps to make the pattern on here because I don't want to give out the details of this pattern because it's not my pattern. And I feel like even if you don't have to jump through one of their hoops for like a newsletter sign up or anything, it's still, yeah, you got to get their pattern from them. So I am going to try and follow the sewing instructions close to how they do it. Were we supposed to cut 2 pockets? Wait a minute. I don't even see where you cut the pockets. Oh, you are supposed to cut 2 pockets. Whoops. Yeah, I bet, Mrs. Necro. You know, when I'm in that kind of mode where I really want to do something else and there's just no foreseeable, like, time I'll get to do this. I felt this especially when I had a child. That's what I thought, Allison. You didn't see the link come through? Did you, right? It's right there in the chat. Oh, put it on live chat, Mrs. Necro. Go all the way to the top. I'm going to show you guys again. See right here where it says live chat and top chat? By default, your chat is going to say, oh, my thing is in the way, isn't it? See right there? Top chat, live chat. Put it on live chat. And then you will get all the chat. I can probably paste it again. You entered after Melinda. It might not be there for you. I just put it in there again. Do you guys see it? Otherwise, I showed how to get there. Just go to Moda and then the Inspiration tab, Free Patterns. Oh, really? That's so weird. You guys don't see links. It might be something in your settings protecting you. All the evil I send your way. You're going Mandarin pick. Oh, you were going to. Oh, you can see previous chat. Okay. Well, sorry about that. Yeah. So go to the Moda Fabrics website. Go to the reusable, or I'm sorry, the Inspiration and something tab. Go down to Free Patterns, and then it's like the 4th or 5th one down. It's not very far down on the page, and you'll recognize this is the cover image. It's why I've been using it over and over, so it's really recognizable for you guys. All right, what were we talking about? Oh, my husband just picked 2 mandarins. How dare you? What do you mean, how dare me? Oh yeah, send you bad stuff and links. Yeah, that's so weird because I watch the Chilled Cow live stream on YouTube constantly, which is just music. It's just chill music. I have to hide the chat because the chat is super obnoxious, but links pop in there and I'm always like, I mean, they show up, but I'm on a desktop then, so maybe that's why. And I just hide the chat because, like I said, the chat's flying by and the stuff in it is just like, there you go, H Crow. Thank you. So smart. Nice to see you. All right, so you're supposed to cut 2 pockets. One of the tips I gave when you were cutting this out, since I barely had enough fabric, you can see this is my selvage, is when you're near the fold of your fabric, don't cut the whole fold like I did. Stop at the, like about here, and then leave this part still on the fold of your fabric, and you'd have a little more for a bigger pocket, and a little, maybe if you're centering a motif or something, you'll be able to get a better motif. I really lucked out that I was just like, which bird, this bird or that bird, and it just fit right here between the straps. The pattern piece does, but if you want a bigger piece there, you can. And then look at that. I mean, it just matches perfectly on here. Blends in. It's like camouflage. So I'm just going to turn under the edges and sew the pocket down, since you're supposed to cut 2. And it was pretty I was pretty small on fabric. I can't even think of the word right now. Yeah, they're actually not links by chatters. Yeah, and they can permit someone to post a link in Twitch at least, you know. All right, where's my little, this guy? You probably don't have to do this, but see, I always get this my first few stitches, very obvious on navy blue. I changed my shirt right before the stream because I had another holiday-ish shirt. I only own 2. I made last year, so I didn't even own them. And I'm wearing this one today because it's a little more like kid-ish. It's this really cute Heidi Kenny print on Spoonflower. It's really obnoxious. Well, I'm the. It shouldn't block it for me because I'm the streamer. It shows up for me. You saw it. So. Oh, great, Sharon. Nice. It's big enough? It seems so small. All right, let's hem this. I'm just going to turn it twice. If you cut 2 pockets, you can sew it around like this. Leave a little opening here. Sew around 3 sides or 4 sides. Just leave a little opening. Then you can clip your corners and turn it right side out. This is not blood, by the way. It's ink. I should know better. Should know better than to use red pens, you know. So I'm just going to hem this. Try not to use more seam allowance than you would have if you had done, you know, done the other. Okay, let's see if I can really match this up. So we're going to sew this so that it matches. Wait do you see the fun things we do towards the end of making this bag too, because there is some pleating, and the pleating is what kind of helps it fit into this little pocket. I'm skeptical, so I'm kind of excited to see it fit. All right, I'm just going to pin it in the middle. And I'm definitely going to start this one upside down so I can kind of go at an angle here, across the top and down. Because if you're going to stuff your bag into this little tiny pocket, I feel like there's going to be a lot of stress on it. So we're going to just turn under that edge. Oops. I actually brought this shirt to work because I was like, you are never going to wear that. You wore it once last year. It's a little too obnoxious. And today I was like, you know what? I'm gonna. Yeah, these pleats, I mean, they're not like decorative ones. You might like that gathering apron. Ooh, I just fell off. That we're making tomorrow, because that one has all those pin tucks on it. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Not tomorrow, Saturday. Because I streamed yesterday and today I'm a little turned around. And then right after, well, not right after I was streaming yesterday, but while I was posting all that stuff for the pattern launch today, my internet died. Which, I have had so many internet issues at this place, and it's always some really weird thing, like a rat starts chewing on cords, or the bill doesn't get paid. Yesterday, it was someone sets his briefcase on those cords every day. So I was here until almost 7, waiting to see if I was going to get internet back for today to know if I could stream or launch my patterns and my kits and things. And that, you know, at least it came back once we figured all that out. I always get blamed first too, by the way. Oh, it must be your device down there. I'm just like, I don't think so, you know. Okay. How'd I do? Not bad. The blue thread kind of breaks it up. Not so camouflage now with the stitching. I was so lucky, wasn't it? All right, so now we're going to sew the side seams, and I'm going to do French seams. But I will use my serger for the hems. And I think a zigzag would be great. Oh, really, Allison? Oh, interesting. Where are you at? Are you in California? Solar storm. What does that mean? All right, so we're only doing the side seams. I'm going to do a really narrow seam allowance here. And we're going to do I was going to say the shoulders, but the strap ends too. Just the strap ends and the sides. Don't do the bottom. My machine kind of sounds funny. Doesn't it? Did I catch it? Yeah, I did. Okay. So what does that mean for us, the solar storm? Do I need to do anything? Oh, so update on the orange kitty. When I got home, my daughter was sitting on her porch, and the orange kitty was hanging out with her, and I got to pet it and meet it, and it was so sweet. And it likes being in her lap, and it was really cold at my place last night. It's colder there than here. And she was making little beds everywhere. On her porch, she made a blanket fort. She made a bed on our porch because he was laying on a little couch there. It was pretty cute. But he wasn't any of those places this morning, even though he was there when we went to bed. He probably has his little hidey holes. He feels safe. Oh, Vancouver. Oh, neat. Oh, okay. That sounds like, yeah, that's what it would be. All right, I'm going to iron this. I have my serger set up here. But we're going to iron. Look at these crazy sleeves, eh? Look at all the fuzzies on this. It doesn't look like it on the camera, but you guys. Fuzzy galore. Fuzzies, and there's that little patina of fuzz, you know? I love Adina commented last night on the cutting video yesterday, and she was like, I don't like minky either. I was like, yes, solidarity. I'm trying to see if I need to trim any of this. Let's see here. It can be really messy, and I didn't even use minky. I kind of want to trim this, but I'm gonna let that go. But I'm gonna trim that one not shoulder, but strap here. Is it this one? I don't know why I wanted to trim it. Oh, I thought I turned that on. Weird. I filled it with water. All right. I feel like this is like never ending, right? You never see me really clip these little threads because it just seems like it just keeps on going. So I just try and put them in the seam allowance unless they're bulky and feel weird. Oh, actually, let's leave this right side out for this first pass. And I'm just going to kind of open it up and kind of offset these seams from one another like this so I can iron them one direction. All right. Fuzz galore. Oh, aw, he was like, I need you to pet me. Well, and that's like, we just lost Senor, and that's how, when we got Senor, it was the day I realized I lost my other cat, which is always so interesting. And we're not like letting him in our house right away, mainly because, you know, our dogs haven't even met him, and our dogs are fine with cats, but cats don't know that, you know? So I don't want to freak him out or anything. And then we have another cat that's older, Haku, the big slothy thing. But he's pretty fine with other cats and things, but I don't want to spring that on him, you know? Alright, so I'm just ironing my French seam here. Makes it a lot easier to do this and stay right on the edge because we just did that other one. You could just serge these seams, like you don't have to do the whole French seam thing if you don't want. You can zigzag them too and then sew them. I think that's great. And the instructions give you the zigzagging method as the primary. All right, so now we're going to sew these 4 seams again, and then we're gonna I'm gonna overlock these openings. I want to call this the neckline and the armholes, but we know better. And then we're gonna do our bottom. My camera kind of drifted on the iron, didn't it, to the left? That's the one that's held together with tape. The camera's fine, but that little doohickey fell out of it, so I can't screw it onto a mount. I've tried putting the doohickey back in. It won't stay. So I noticed an error in the cutting when we did this. I did the slippers yesterday. So I don't know how I didn't notice this until I was off camera after looking at those pattern pieces for hours. I've looked at those pattern pieces many times before the stream yesterday. And then yesterday before the stream, I actually looked at the pattern and kind of started mapping my plan with changing the sizing. Hey Nicole, how's it going? And never once did I notice that the exact same information for the upper slipper is printed on the sole, and it's incorrect. I just looked at those cut amounts and didn't look at the fact that it said upper slipper on it. So I cut twice as many soles as I needed to. I don't know why that didn't click, especially because I was also going to be cutting them out of the slip stuff, the non-slip stuff. I would have not used so much fabric, and I would have had enough to cut them the way I planned. So don't make that mistake. All right, so now we have our finished sides here. Wait, let me look at the directions, make sure I am doing it in the same order. Yep, here we are. So I'm gonna overlock, or you can zigzag all these curved edges here, and then we're gonna hem it, all right? Got the serger all set up here. Hey, Terry. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I don't really feel like they need to be, you know, stuffable into a bag. And you know how we were talking about like doing the, there we go. I'll just move this. Doing the, like elastic strap or something, or you could do ties or a snap. Someone said a snap. I think that's great. All right, we're just doing the curved edges here. I gotta move this closer to me than I want because the foot pedal doesn't reach the ground. They don't make sewing machines for standing and sewing. You note I have the bag inside out while I do this. I find it a lot easier that way. None of your bag is underneath, creeping under that knife. Press your seams whatever way you want. Just be consistent when you go to sew the other side. that's what Allison was saying. That there's a solar storm. Are you in Canada as well, or up north somewhere? That was a little loopier than I want. All right, so I pressed this strap this way, so I'm going to make sure I press it the same. My serging is kind of wide. I like the look of that. I meant to test it on one layer of fabric, but it's nice that my stitching is actually landing on the edge of the cut edge there. I wasn't having that the other day, and once I just took out all the threads and re-threaded it, and it calmed down, you know, like making that curve like that edge. We're at the beginning. So when I meet my serging, I usually kind of overlap it, but I don't cut with the knife right here, right? I try and stay away from it, and I'm usually better about pulling it off really suddenly at like a 90-degree angle. So let's cut this. So now I'm on it, but I'm trying not to cut those threads there. So a little bit, and then I usually pull it like that. And see, then I get more of a 90-degree angle. I still have kind of a lot of a thread there, but I feel like that's a little cleaner than how I did this one. Was this the one? Oh, wait, the other one. All right, one more. This thing's gonna go by fast. This one is going this way. All right, toward me. All right. Or toward the machine. This one's not inside out for some reason, so let's make it inside out. There we go. So much easier. Far North New Jersey, okay. COVID-related clear skies. Because of lack of pollution? That's very interesting. Wow. Give all this my own. Hi Barbara, how's it going? I'm on. Alright, here we go again. Cut that. And then I try not to cut any of these already sewn threads. And I pull it and go directly off. That. Alright, so we have our 3 curves now. Get it ready for when we come back. Alright, so now we're going to hem these. Now you could use binding, but I know how some of you feel about that, and that would be kind of a lot of work and a lot of fabric, and it would make it bulkier and heavier, but the binding is really strong, and if you sew it, you know, not on a binding machine, it's going to get, you know, 2 passes of stitching, which makes it really strong. And I will say, like the Chico bags I use, that's how they do it. They're bound, you know. All right, so let's hem this. We're going to turn this right side out now because we want to sew on the inside again. And let's start here. I'm just going to tuck that little tail in there and turn it and top stitch it. So if you've already zigzagged it, now you're going to hem it. And you could zigzag your hem too if you just want to kind of keep that look. I'm thinking that this won't be too hard. I know that curved hems probably strike a little bit of fluttering in your heart, but because of the curve, it'll be a little stretchy. And it's really narrow, so that helps a lot, you know. My serging is a little wide, but it's working. So that was probably the worst. See if I can fold it at least enough so you don't see the little loops of my serging showing on the right side. Alright, back at the beginning, that was a big one. I'll try and line up my stitching. Yeah, it did okay. Let's see. Not bad. A little bit of flaring right here. You can iron it and it'll calm down, but is it really going to bug us? Ooh. Interesting. Penny. Hi, Sydney. But you can still add them, right? You didn't like sew the shoulders of the yoke closed. Sydney, are you looking to see the Northern Lights too tonight? Sydney's in Washington State. She might be able to see him, right? She's not too far from Vancouver. And if you can see him in Vancouver. So you notice I picked the side seam on the smaller circles and the shoulder, the top of the strap for the bigger circle. You could do all your start and stops at the top of the strap, but I just didn't want it front and center on the bag. Why, I'm so hardwired to speak in garment terms, and this looks like a tank top to me, you know? This is such a great project to practice hemming without pins, right? It's just a bag. It's a gift. They're going to be thrilled with it no matter what. And you can practice hemming without pins. Not that I think you have to sew without pins. I'm just saying, if you want to get that, you know, try that. I'm going to try and pull that loop over there. Get it stuck in there. There we go. There's one. There's the worst curve right there. A little bit of flaring. And then we have one more. And then we're going to do the bottom. Okay, here's another one of my tails. Kind of shorten that a little bit, stick it in there. All right, these are nice and short. Okay, cool. Alright, so now we're going to do the bottom. You're going to put it wrong sides together. We are going to do a French seam, and that is how it is in the instructions. You didn't attach the sleeves, we just the shoulders of the yoke. Oh, Penny, I'm sorry. That's a bummer. I find that I do things like that on the steps I'm really nervous about. I will almost prepare myself to death, you know? All right, we're going to sew it closed here at the bottom. me look at the directions. Yep, that's what we're doing. Promise. Just folding it right on that seam there. Make sure you back stitch. Let's trim these threads. A cross grain is always threadier. I don't have my big scissors over there. I left them on the iron. It's like cutting with doll scissors when you have to do a big seam. All right. I'm literally cutting like an inch at a time. They're so funny. But they're so satisfyingly sharp. All right, let's iron it. I'm just looking at these directions. I'm going wrong side. Oh, so that. Oh, yeah, okay. I was missing that. I was like, wait, aren't I doing this right? Hey, Beverly, how's it going? Someone else said that too. You know, lately, YouTube, when I go to look at, like, say I'll open it up, because I've been actually looking at the views for the Suki. I was just turning this other way. Oh, let's fold our, iron our hems. So I noticed that under this video, it said processing. And someone else commented that they didn't know how to look at the chat. And I was kind of like, huh. I'm not sure I know how to describe where to do it. I know how to do it on a device. I could see it this morning, though. So maybe try now. I'm wondering if they're changing some sort of upload threshold or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe they don't like the really long videos I'm doing. That'll turn out pretty good, look. Except right there. Let's see. That got flipped up a little bit. All right. Yeah, seam rip, take a break. Can you see it now, Beverly? No, I don't have any control over hiding chat. Not that I'm aware of. But this morning when I went to see how you look at chat, because someone commented that, I could see an icon for it. Admittedly, I didn't like watch the video and click it. There's only so much watching myself I can take, you know. I don't mind it for the most part, but, you know. All right, so these little corners. Just gonna pull those out and line them up. I use my chopstick here. That'll do the trick. Probably use my awl to really get it out. Let's do this one here. Where is it? There it is. So if you folded it back on itself, which you probably did, that's how it's going to be when you go to iron it as well. Just a glitch then. Yeah, I'm wondering if it was in that, like I was saying, like that processing phase. I don't know what that is. Usually I only see that, and no one ever sees that, when I'm uploading a video. And once I've uploaded it, then it processes it, which just takes a few minutes. but no one ever sees that. I just started seeing it. What the heck? Why isn't the... Oh, I know when there's a cord touching the screen, it thinks I'm touching it with my finger because the cords are kind of warm. Apparently they're warm. Oh, good, Penny. Yeah. All right, so we're right here. So now we're going to, we're right here. So that again, but we're also going to do this little trick of folding it in 3 3/4. And this is where we're going to do our little pleating thing. 3 3/4. Like this. That. So I bought quilting pins, and I'm slowly changing back all my pins to these, and it feels so good. My little pin experiment just didn't go well for me. Alright, so remember, we haven't sewn this bottom seam yet. I mean, I guess I learned, right? I go through those phases of going, maybe I shouldn't do it this way because other home sewers don't do it this way. And then I'm like, whatever, I don't care. That's how I like it, you know? Alright, so now we're going to enclose that seam. The first time I used like less than 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm doing a little more than 1/4 of an inch. I'm sure the amount is specified in there, but I'm just doing how I feel comfortable doing French seams, what makes it easiest. It's a bag. If you lose 1/4 of an inch in depth, don't worry about it, you know? It's all going to work and sew together. I say make it easy for yourself. All right, there we go, right? So now we have our pleats. And now we're going to do a similar little pleating thing. This took me a while to figure out what this was. At the strap here. So you're going to take your strap. Oh, they want me to do it right side out. Okay. Right side out. I keep thinking these are threads, these little feet here. There's a lot of threads on here. Well, I always had those kind of quilting pins before. And then this year I decided to do a pin experiment. And I got 3 different types. I think all the packages are right here, aren't they? They might be. They may not be. But yeah, I got silk pins, some quilting pins, and I went over this in a video at one point. I don't see it. The other pack. Oh wait, is this the package? Yeah, and patchwork pins. So these were the kind I got. The silk pins looked like they were these red and white ones that looked like. This is how I should have done this. This is how these looked. I remember now. They looked like this. Alright. Patchwork pins, I am pretty sure was these, and they came in this pale blue clear and pale blue yellow, and I love the way these looked. And then these were, I'm pretty sure, these super long in orange and green. What were those black ones from? Like that. Okay. That's what I got. And these are too long and they bend too easily. These bend too easily. These bend too easily. That's my summary. So I got this big honkin' box of quilting pins. And that's what I'm using from now on. I just like them. They are pretty beefy. If you are doing silk sewing or really fine fabric, I wouldn't use those because they're going to leave a hole, you know? So. Oh, hello, Denise. Thank you. That's weird. I wonder what happened. Must be a YouTube glitch. Oh, I forgot to put my oh well, who cares? All right, so let's just last step. We're almost done. Turn my right side out. On each handle, fold the outer edge under so that the handle fabric is wrong sides together and the outer hem edge just meets the inner hem. Like this. And then you stitch in the ditch. I'll show you on the other one again. I'm pulling apart pretty hard to get a ditch there since, of course, my bird is light in color. And you're going to see my stitching. All right, let's do the other one. So outer edge, meaning the edge towards the side seam here. That's the center. This is the outer, right? So this is the outer edge. And you're going to fold it under toward the hem, just like that. Just line it up. And then stitch in the ditch. And so I pull it apart and stitch in that ditch. And I'm going to just stitch from the folded back part only. I'll hold my thread there with my fingertips. All right, now we're gonna iron it and fold it into the pocket. Tailor pins are, yeah. I was actually, I had to use those in college. These right here, I have one. These right here, this is what you use in design school and nothing is allowed. There were very strict consequences. I think we were dismissed for the day even. That teacher was pretty strict about pins. You had to have steel head pins, and that was it. They're fine. I just don't like how hard they are to grab, you know? But they're super strong, and you can iron them. So that's nice. There's advantages to them. I'm not sure what her rationale is, so if you're going to ask me, I don't know. It probably was just something she found that she liked. I think it's good to have, you know, one weird quirk, right? Or more. All right, so here's that pleat we created right there on the side. Remember that? On the inside. And now we're going to fold our bag so it lines up with that pleat. And look, it folds up with the handle too. Like that. See? So poke that in there. Like that. See that? And now iron that down. It'll probably never be like this again, but you can give it to them like this. That's awesome. I think that's the funny thing is that pins seem like such a one-dimensional thing until you are using them all the time and you realize you actually do have preferences, and you might not even know that you have preferences until you use maybe someone else's pin and you're like, oh, I don't like this. The other stipulation I have is I have to be able to iron them, but I'm not as strict about that anymore because I just don't use a lot of pins. All right, so this, see how this tucks in there? And look, it just flattens out. It's actually really easy to do this little pleat. So I just put my thumbs on both ends and went like that. And now I'm just ironing it to kind of reinforce it. Make all that fuzz that's stuck to my fabric nice and immortal. Yeah, glass heads are nice. Glass head pins are really expensive. So if and the amount of pins I need, I have some. I don't buy them regularly anymore. They really went up in price. There's too many on my floor, and I try and pick them up every time, but you know. Okay, so I'm just kind of making this look nice. Look at all this thread. I have a lint roller here now, so I'll be able to use that. Okay, I'm gonna go back under the other camera and we'll fold it into the pocket together. And now the cord's touching the screen again. I feel a big stream setup rearranging coming on. I really don't have the time for that. All right, so there is, okay, to store the bag, there's directions. To store the bag, first fold the sides in toward the back, okay? Toward the back to create a vertical strip the same width as the pocket. All right, so I'm gonna fold it on the pocket edges there, like that. Turn pocket inside out. Okay, wait. Then fold top and bottom of bag. Try and do it twice. I'm trying to do it. My pocket's right there. Like that. Center. Doesn't stay. I'm so skeptical. Yeah. Fold sides of bag where pleated and pressed. Okay, to store bag. First fold sides in towards the back to create a vertical strip the same width as pocket. Then fold top and bottom of bag in towards the center back to be same size as pocket. Yeah, I think so. It's pretty clever. I used to just have like a magnet on a stick and I would just go around. All right, well, I don't know about that. So let's do something as an alternative. So let's say we're at the store and we're done with it. What would we naturally do? I would probably go like this, you know, really quickly and roll it up like that, you know? And then maybe if I had a piece of elastic right here, you know? Let's see. I don't need it to be very big. So we probably want it about that big. I'm in trouble. There we go. Okay. So this piece right here is 8.5 inches long. Slap a bow on and it's done. Exactly. Right? I just got one of my gifts done. All right. So I was saying that would be good, like from one of these seams here, right? So this is a pleat. This is a pleat. That's a fold. These are all pleats, right? Is this a seam right here? That's a pleat. So I think it's kind of awkward, but I could just put it. Maybe even you could put it. No, I think I'd put it right there. Is that kind of weird? Your bag just has this little elastic loop hanging off of it. What if it was like this? You sewed it and it's stuck inside the pleat like this, right? So yeah, your pleat's sewn down right there. So let's pin this and we'll try it out. Right? Okay. So then we're at the store. And we're like quickly like, okay, I need to get my stuff together, blah, blah, blah. Right? Where's my elastic? Right there. That could work, you know? About the bottom seam. Okay, yeah, let's look at that. Okay. So, what if it were right here? It would hang down while you're using your bag, but what if we could sew it so that it's stuck straight up. I mean, look, I could come up with a lot of really great places to put this that would make it look good and fold really nicely, but I'm trying to do it so that it's not counterintuitive to how I would use the bag, you know? So what if we did that? Like, oh, I like that. You know? That was pretty good. And maybe I move it over a little, like right here. Let's try that. And it could go in that seam then. Okay, let's try it again. So there's that's where it looks like. You might even be able, what if it was sewn down? You know? Okay, we'll pretend like that. Like it's like a flat piece there. Right? All right, so then, hello Lisa, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so I did it in half, right? Do it in half and then quick, quick, quick. And then I would flip this over like that. Oh, I like that. Okay. It's kind of too far that way. Doesn't seem too far that way. It goes up here. Okay. Then at least it's flat. Let's put this pin like this so we can do it a little easier. Okay, take back what I said about they don't bend. Could go in the center of its neckline. All right, I'll check that now too. All right, so there we go. Let's try it one more time. All right, so but you have to go away from. I like that. Okay, so we like that, right? Okay, so there's that. Now I'm kind of lost in it because it's all pinned weird. Oh, it was this one I needed. Okay, so that's that one. And ouch, ouch, ouch. That was right here and right here. Let's try the neckline now. The neckline. You're thinking like down here, right? So it's just hanging in there. All right, so how would I fold it? I kind of damaged it, I think. Where is it? Yeah, I think it depends on how you fold it. I think this is definitely an option. It's probably the easiest to sew, this option. You know, and it might make the most sense. It does put all this like curve here a little exposed when you go to flip it like that. I'm not folding it very nicely because I feel like when I'm at the store, I'm not going to do that. I can barely manage to stuff my Chico bags back inside of themselves, and that's really easy. But this takes the same amount of time. Do you guys know what a Chico bag is? You guys know what those are, right? They're like, I mean, I feel like those are really popular now, and I feel like Chico bag was one of the very first makers of it. There's probably a European company that did it first because they were way ahead of us as far as using reusable bags. But it's like a little tiny stuff sack with a elastic top that stretches open, or a draw cord top. Depends. I have 3 in my bag right now. And they're made of ripstop. So anyway. Okay, I think I'm going to go for... So you could do this one here, and I just put it at the center. But I think I'm going to put it right here. Yeah, was that... Yeah. We get a little deal through my husband's work. They're like friendly. I'm going to do that. I'm going to sew it and sew it down. But then you could also remember to put it at the seam. And this is It's like 3 inches over from this fold. This right here, where my fingers are right here, is where it turned back to when we did the pleat in there. If you wanted to be really easy, you could probably just line it up with that pleat, you know. All right, so now I need to add it. Okay, I'm going to, you could do it when you're doing the other seams and it'll be a little more secure. Hey Nancy, how's it going? Never heard of them? Okay, I could show you. It's just, I'm sure you've seen something similar to it, you know? It's just, I live in Chico, and they're called Chico bags, so it's kind of, everybody knows they're here. And I know that that's not the case for everywhere else. I'm kind of lost. Where did my seam go? There it is right here, right? Wait. Sheesh. Oh yeah, I can see. I kind of damaged it right there, pulling it with the pin. Okay, let's get my bag out of the way here. So you could do yours before you sew. Not after the fact like this. I'm going to sew across my elastic. And I actually have it on the seam allowance, I'm hoping. I'm going to look in there before I turn it up. Yeah, so it's right there in the seam allowance. And now I'm going to fold it up. Like this. And then close it, just since I don't have it in the seam. And then I'm going to go straight up. Peel it back. Actually, I'll just go through both layers. Why not, right? It's kind of a high stress spot. Ooh, I didn't do a very good job on the second one. All right. This could be a great stash busting project if you're just like, I bought these cute fabrics, and now I need to use them up, right? Yeah, Nancy, twins. Yeah, Mrs. Neckery does. Nice. Yeah, it's really good insulation. Good for ice too. Nancy, you can do 2 braids, right? 2 braids, and then just and 50 bobby pins. I was at the dinner table taking all those out while we were eating. I was like, time to take the braids out. Oh, I didn't iron that very good, did I? All right, cool. There's my little, oh, I did it really crooked. Whoops. It looked straight. There we go. All right. Now that it's in there, let's try it again. I probably iron these pleats even more, you know. I like this too because then if they don't, like same with hanging in there, if they don't want to do that, they don't have to. All right, so we did it in half. And then we just started folding this down, right? 1, 2. There we go. Yeah. I think that's easier than the pocket. And it looks pretty tidy, actually. Look at that. Too bad it wasn't straight. Maybe I'll fix it before I give it to my mom. Let me go get a Chico bag. I'll show you really quick. And then we're going to sew our slippers. Hey, Terry, yeah. I like it too. Yeah, I just need to get some pin. I'm too afraid to just cross in the back. Oh, wow. That's longer than mine. But you can loosely braid them, Mrs. Necro, so they plump up. You know? All right, so these are Chico bags. This is actually my favorite one because it's a little smaller. But I like how the size of it. And see, there's my bag. But the little stuff stack is on the inside of the bag, so you always have to turn your bag right side out if you don't want it dangling. And this is like more like the classic one right here. I have a pretty fabric now. See, so if you don't turn it right side out, It is inside out when you use it, and that happens a lot. If someone bags my groceries, they always do it inside out. And it kind of irks me that I'm carrying my groceries out with an inside out bag, you know. But I feel like Chico Bag was one of the people that really popularized this. And then to stuff it, you just do this. Now, before you go, oh, I'm going to make one of these little stuff sacks instead of doing all that elastic pocket hoo-ha Sarah did. You have to, this fabric is so thin. And I actually designed a bag like this for a client once. And they could not get a hold of the fabric. It's probably easier to find now, but at the time they could not get a hold of the fabric that was stuffable. And they were like, the bag has to be this big, like the little pocket. And the bag has to be this big. And I'm like, yeah, but they won't go into each other. You know, I mean, I just like, it's not any magic I can do as a pattern drafter. You've already set the parameters and I can't change the density of the fabric, you know. So that's what a Chico bag is. And that's what it's kind of a ubiquitous word around here, especially in the West Coast of the States, for a little stuffable bag. Anyway, yeah, you're welcome. All right, slippers. Oh, I'm going to take this moment to tell you guys about the patterns coming out today. I have 3. They're right here. I have my pocket bucket. My Release the Little Lakes. I lost internet yesterday. So it comes with vinyl pocket option or a fabric pocket option. You can bind or hem the top. 7 pockets, 2 on this side, 3 on this side, 1 on each end. If you sewed the project bag, it's about the same difficulty. It's not an easy bag. It's heavy duty sewing. It's pretty easy except for the heavy duty aspect on the last one, this step right here. Full video, yeah, plug my patterns. Full video with timestamps, illustrated instructions, full shebang. Those are always like tech edited, tested by people, graphic artist puts it all together. I spend the big bucks on those patterns, so that's why I'm promoting them, because I don't really make money on those yet. But I do have other little patterns that are free on the website and a little cheaper, and they're the ones that I just kind of release in between, like this Notions wedgie I'm going to show you in a second. So the other one that people are really excited about, the Wallaby, because it is really beginning friendly. It's a pretty big bag, so you can see it in front of me. It's pretty big. Folds flat. It has 1 interior pocket and 1 exterior pocket right here. I'm looking at the screen to see what you can see. And it's actually kind of a fun one to sew. The binding is fairly minimal, but there's binding. You bind the pocket, then you bind the bottoms, then you bind this edge. And then you do this nifty little webbing finish at the top that you can also do with 2 pieces of 1-inch webbing. Ooh. That's actually a really interesting idea, Mrs. Necro. You mean the Wallaby or the pocket bucket? I think either one. You'd have to change the dimensions. Like this one would be too short for, I'm looking at my home machine just behind the camera. I have it on the table there because I need to record a video and I just don't have the time. But it's here at the shop just so I can record a video. But yeah, if you made it taller, it would fit a home machine, I think. I'm trying to think easy instructions on how to make it bigger. And then the pocket bucket you'd have to make longer. I wouldn't want to trust that webbing strap for that. But maybe if you hooked it to the machine and then used your machine handle. Hey, Patricia, welcome. Hello from California. Welcome, welcome. All right, so the Wallaby, and I made these both out of a denim on the outer. This one has a canvas on the inside. I used this really cool piece of fabric that I've hoarded for a long time with trains on it, a little border print. And then this one, it's a really stiff, unwashed denim, like how jeans used to be before they were enzyme washed, and then it has a digital print on it. This is the one in the photos. You can see, look, I didn't even get my strap very good. I'm going to give tips on how to do that better. And then, so those both will be like $14 unless you're on my newsletter list or you're a Patreon patron and there's discounts. And then What was I gonna say? Oh, and then the Notions wedgie here. I think a lot of people have a pattern like this now. When we first designed it, the reason that it got really popular was because it had the clear bottom. You don't have to do that. I made this pattern. It's going to be $9. Comes with a video. It has illustrated steps for this version here. Clear bottom, a purchased zipper with finished edges here, fully lined. And then there are instructions in the video on how to make it with a fabric bottom and a purchased zipper still, just like that. There's very subtle differences, but it makes but they are different to sew. And then my favorite way to sew these, and this is how we sewed them at Chicken Boots, was a clear bottom, 1/2 of zipper by the yard. So you see that? That is one side of the zipper. It's just really clean, really easy to sew, and I show you how to do that because I'm really into showing you guys production techniques and really affordable ways to sew things, especially if you want to make money on your handmaids and things. And zipper by the yard is something I can't speak more highly about than so I did half of the video is dedicated to sewing it that way in fabric and vinyl bottom. This one turned out so good. Matches my Blanca flight suit. And I will be selling zipper by the yard as well, as I'm also be selling 2-inch wide webbing for the Wallaby. So I bought them wholesale from my vendors, and just so I can sell them to you guys. I know they're hard to find, and I'm just marking it up a tiny bit to cover all my time and effort on it. So they're pretty much best you'll find, probably. The zipper's going to be in chunks. I can't remember. I think it might be like a 10 yard. Is it 10 yards? No, it's enough for 10 14-inch zippers. So you're going to get 10 sliders and then 140 inches. And you can, I'm trying to think. The reason I had to do that was so otherwise it would have been 50 cents. Like literally zipper by the yard is dirt cheap. So I had to make it so that I didn't have 5,000 50-cent sales. You know what I mean? And then that way you can do a few zippers. So I can't remember how much that is, but it's not very much. It's like a few dollars. Those 3 patterns come out today about 5 p.m. Pacific. And you can still get on my newsletter list and you'll get a discount, or be a Patreon patron. You'll get a discount for those 2. And these are free already on there. I gave this to patrons last week. All right. Let's sew slippers. Yeah, you like that, Sydney? It's really obnoxious. But, you know, you can't go wrong with gingerbread cookies, right? I have another one for Saturday. It's a little more subtle. If you've seen it before. It's the one that looks like paper snowflakes, and there's scissors on it. I like that one. Let's see. All right. I'm going to sew the sea otter ones because they're cute. And then I thought of, I could add stiffener maybe for the soles inside. But I want to show you. Here's the, there's a typo, a pretty major typo on this pattern. And I didn't notice this until after I was done streaming yesterday. I can't believe I didn't notice this. I went over at the beginning of the stream because I taught you how to resize this pattern. All of that time I was handling this pattern, I did not notice that the exact same thing is printed on both these pattern pieces. This is not the upper slipper, it's the sole. You only need 2 outer and 2 lining. You don't need 4 of each. And if you're using the non-slip fabric, then you're only going to need 2 of those and 2 lining. I have cut so many soles for these 2 pairs of slippers that aren't going to get used, and I wasted a lot of fabric, so I don't want you to do that too. It's just a minor slip up, but it kind of has a big impact on your fabric usage. Because I had planned on doing 2 with this green, and I didn't have enough. So I cut out a lot of soles yesterday by the time I got home. All right, so we're going to make these little slippers. The free pattern on the Blank Slate Patterns website. Just got to sign up for her newsletter. And so our first step is piecing together the sole. I mean the upper slipper. So I have And I also am doing an interlining, which is not in the instructions, and that's because I don't have polar fleece. So I am making mine a little warmer and fluffier. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Mrs. Necro. Or they'll go in a dog bed. So yeah. All right. So I was very careful about cutting these guys out. So here's my interlining. I think what I'm going to do, so I'm pulling all my upper slippers out right now, which is this crazy looking piece. We're going to put all the soles over there. I'm going to treat this warm interlining layer against the outer as one. We're going to put, so just pretend like this is polar fleece now. All right, so I'm going to put this right sides together. I'm making a kid-sized. It's 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to change our thread too. What are we going to change it to? I'm going to change it to black. Could always use another dog bed, right? That's the first thing I was like, we need to make this cat a dog bed. And my husband's like, I don't think we need any more poofs. Like, I know. There are so many dog beds in our house right now. It's ridiculous. These are going to go together pretty quickly, I think, which is pretty fun. And I will have 2 gifts sewn today. How about you? You got a meeting? All right, Terry. See ya. Ruined my 2 pins there. Throw them away. If they've been, throw them away. Don't keep those things. They are no good to you. I'm just looking for a black bobbin. That's black, right? Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I know, right? You could just make a little patchwork top, though. Or what about, I was thinking about, like, the way that the closet core poof is, where it's those pie wedges, but those wouldn't be, I mean, you could make a smaller one, you know? Stop getting me on other projects. Making my wheels turn. All right, we're going to put these right sides together. And since this is the outer, we're going to go straight down that whole short seam right here. And yeah, I'm sewing this on my single needle. 1/4 inch seams. And then we're also going to sew right here. And she doesn't really specify with a notch or anything. We're gonna wing it. It's all gonna be fine. We're gonna go like right here, kind of where it starts to curve up. I'm not gonna give you an amount for mine because mine is a kid size and yours might be a different size. Oh, nice, Mrs. Necro. You're just watching us here. I do that too. I love it. I love listening to streams while I'm working. One of them I sometimes mod for, and I'm like, make sure you yell my name if you need me to come. All right, same thing on this side. If you want to serge these, you could. These aren't seams that are going to get a lot of stress as far as stretch goes, but I don't think there's anything wrong with zigzagging a tiny zigzag like you're doing a knit or doing a serger. I think those are excellent ideas. Let's try and do these the same so that they don't feel different on her. Let's make sure I actually did do them the same. This is 1 stitch shallower. Nothing says homemade when they're not symmetrical. Yeah, where your coworker stands, exactly. I'm going to trim that flush. All right, now we're going to do our lining. But the lining, if you did the Sherpa or whatever you're doing, you're not going to sew straight up the back. You're going to need to leave an opening here so that you can turn the whole slipper right side out through the hole. So don't make it a tiny hole. You have to sew it back together no matter what, so you might as well just make it less frustrating. I left like a 3-inch hole there. If you're sewing with Sherpa, you'll be able to edge stitch that with a sewing machine and no one will know. It'll get lost in the Sherpa fleece, you know, that fuzzy stuff. Even polar fleece, same thing. All right, so now we're gonna put these. We didn't do the top, sorry. I'm like, wait, why is this different? Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the top here. Let's mark it so that we have the same. I'm just gonna notch it right here, right there. Let's mark this one too. There we go. So now we're gonna sew that same top seam there. The fuzz, man. I don't like fuzz. I'll probably sew the other pair of slippers today so I can clean this all up and be done with it. You know? Cabbage for scraps. That is kind of cute. Cabbage Patch the scraps. That's so funny because I saw Aja Barber post something about Christmas today, and it was something about like, what was your memorable Christmas, you know? All right, so wait, let me look at the directions. I don't want to lead you astray. And she says she remembers the Cabbage Patch release, and man, I do too, because I was a teenager in high school when those came out, I think. Was I in high school? And my parents got them for my brother and sister. I just remember the craziness. And those things were kind of creepy. Oh, that's funny. All right, so we did those two. Oh, okay, so now we're going to do the upper slipper to the sole. Open up the upper slippers and pin them right sides together with the soles. Do you put them together though? Don't you put them together? Four slippers. Okay, yeah. Alright. Alright, so now get your lining pieces out. Lining. Or your soles out. I don't even need the otters. You know? Coleslaw? Really? That's so funny. That's great. All right, so I think I'm going to do this. I'm not going to use the otter. I mean, you could. I think that there's a limit to how many layers you want for the sole, because you're going to start losing size. You know, you're going to start losing some of the size because it gets thicker and thicker. But it would be warmer and softer, like squishier. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. Yeah. All right, so here's the lining ones. Lining and lining. See, so I have extra soles here. All right, and then put your, make sure you have a left and a right. Okay, so these are my I can't, it says you can't iron this stuff, but it really bugs me that there's a crease in it. You know what? I'll just wash these when I'm done and get rid of those creases. All right, so I'm going to center this just like this, but you want to do it right sides together. right? Yeah. Okay. It doesn't look like it in the picture, but it is. Right sides together. I put a notch on that width line that was on the pattern. You could probably steam it. Yeah. I think that you could probably do a little bit of light ironing, you know. Oh, yeah. I had a Care Bear too, but I was a little old for a Care Bear, to be honest. But I remember, God, that just brought back a memory for me. My drill team, I was on drill team, and I was in junior high. You had Furbies. Just the name Furby really creeps me out. It always has, ever since they came out. All right, here we go. So now we have this right sides together. See that? I don't have that notch on there. Just kind of checking it out. I'm going to put the notch on there right now. So this is that widen and narrow line. Yeah, so my whole drill team decided that we all needed Care Bear names, and those were on the back of our like casual sweatshirts. I was really not into this idea. I've never been into character stuff like that, though. I was just talking to my sister about this yesterday. Okay. You don't have much seam allowance. I'm having trouble notching it because of those dots there. All right, let's do the other one. I did measure it on the pattern to make sure that it was half and half. It doesn't look like it to me right now, and that's why I'm doubting it, but I did measure it. We're going to make it work no matter what. Right? This is the free slipper pattern by Blank Slate Patterns. Cozy slipper pattern. And if you sign up for a newsletter list, you get a little code in a newsletter or an email, and it unlocks all of our free patterns. I cut them out on Thursday, so you can check that out. But it's a Blank Slate Patterns is the name. I put a link, but apparently links don't show up for y'all, so that's kind of funny. I thought they did. Brooke used to post links, and it was fine. Remember that? All right, right sides together. Let's put a few pins in this. All right. You could totally make a pair for yourself. The pattern that you get is in a women's size medium. I made these for kids. I sized them down. I'm just kind of checking it out. I'm walking it around the edge there. All right, let's start. I'm going to start the back heel there. Yeah, you're welcome. We're doing gifts this week. We just did the reusable tote. That turned out pretty cute. Trying to keep these layers lined up along those edges because I have 2 layers. You won't. You won't make the, I thought that was polar fleece, but it's not. Blank Slate Patterns. It'll be in the description once I'm done streaming too. But you can see it, let's see, where can you see that? Yeah, Blank Slate Patterns. And if you sign up for her newsletter, or you can just buy it. It's $2. I bought it. And it's called Cozy Slippers. You have to get like this little code. This is one thing I didn't realize. So I was like, wait a minute, how do I unlock this? You get a little code, and so she changes it occasionally. And you get a newsletter from her, and then the code's always in there. I'm not paying attention and getting this lined up perfectly, but it's not hard to sew. It's just a lot of layers because I have the non-slip and I use this cozy fleece as an inner lining since what I'm using is cuddle on the outside. I really want to turn it right side out, but I'm going to trim this first. Let me get my other scissors. They're over here. Oh, let me turn my serger off too. I think the serger would be nice because it would make this seem nice and tidy. Because look at that. I didn't do that great there. Let's just smooth this out. Quarter-inch seams. If you could be accurate, you know, smaller seam allowance would be good because this still needs to turn right side out. And that's kind of bulky right there, you know? This little munchkin's foot was 7.5 inches long, and the pattern is about 10.25, but I added a little ease for her to grow and to allow for the thicknesses here. Let's do a lining so that we can, well, I'll just do them both. We'll just be methodical because I got to pair them up with left and right. I don't want to figure that out right now until I'm done. All right, so we have our notch there. And we have our notch back here. All right, start with the heel. So Saturday we're making the gathering apron that we cut out yesterday by Sew Liberated. I'm excited about that because those pin tucks, I love that kind of sewing, you know? I think it'll be fun. Plus that lemon print's pretty fun. I need to make that yellow look a little better on camera. This fleece is a lot stretchier than the cuddle. I'm having to kind of tell it, no, you don't need to go that far. Keep all my layers lined up. I think using that width, that widen and narrow line is a good line to notch. And then you can line up the seam on that notch. It's pretty much in the center. Whose style do you like? Who did I just say? Oh, Sew Liberated. Right, she's pretty cute. Did I get a little tuck here? No. Just make sure that if you do, if you're new here and you didn't hear me say that you don't need as many to cut on the soles as the pattern says. It's just a misprint on there I noticed today, or yesterday I mean. So you only need 2 outer, 2 inner. And if you're doing the non-skid, you only need 2 non-skid, 2 lining for your soles. That's it. I cut 4 and 4, and then I cut the non-skid, and I have soles coming out my ears right now. All right, so let's just look at one. Oh, it looks like a real slipper. Oh my goodness. So I was really choosy about where I put the otters. You could have put them here, but the cuddle only has 1 stretch and it's across the width. So, and then it'll have a little cuff that hangs down. But she'll see those on her toes. That's pretty cute. Okay, we're gonna line it. So let's sew our lining here. We didn't notch these yet, so let's notch those. Yeah, that's pretty cute. I like instant gratification projects. We've had so many really big projects lately. Nice to have, we're finishing 2 in one stream. It's been a while since we've been able to do that, huh? Alright, so let's see, that's the toe. That heel goes to the vertical seam. And remember, you have a hole right here so you could turn your whole slipper right side out. I'm going to try and insert stiffener in there. There's an opportunity when we go to put the one inside the other, apparently. I'm still skeptical. These kinds of patterns, like at first I'm always like, oh my God, I don't know where I'm at. And then it instantly just makes sense, you know? You got to kind of tune out all that other stuff that it kind of tells you to think otherwise. Because when I first saw the upper slipper, I was like, wait, I don't understand that. It's always like that with slipper patterns, you know? Having to ease it a little bit. I probably stretched a little. Ooh, I know, Emmy. I think so. I asked about cork and she was like, no, that stuff's slippery. I was like, okay, good to know. I asked the gal at the fabric store. I'm going to clip down to that. This is one thing I think this part needs. Clip down to that where you sewed the seam to. Right there. You can see, already see it releasing, right? I don't want to forget. Let's do it on this one too. All right, one more. Make sure I have my notches. I can see them both. I'm finding sewing them from the side of the upper is a little easier because the sole is flat, right? So it's flat on your table and you're just kind of attaching it all the way around. So it makes it a little easier to sew. It's not doing all the gymnastics. Whoops, I just accidentally folded that back. That the upper slipper is doing. The upper slipper is going from, you know, flat to 3D. There's that notch. There we go, right there. Yeah. Yeah, I think that you could always just try it. You know, maybe wrap it around your foot and try and walk with it. I would test it for sure. You know, I wouldn't want to put something too slippery. I thought it might be too much to hope that the cork would work, but you know, I just always wanted an excuse to use that stuff because it's so cool looking, and I thought, ooh, that'd be kind of a neat slipper bottom, but she said it was really slippery. I was like, okay, someone's tried that. Oops. All right, so now let me read this because I'm actually thinking about, like, when I put the lining inside of the slipper, I feel like you're supposed to sew these together at some point. You know what I mean? So you have 4 slippers and make sure there are 2 right feet and 2 left feet. Okay. Turn each slipper right side out through the hole in the heel of the lining. Yeah, see, when are you stitching them together? I feel like I'm missing a page. Here it is. Okay. Hey! Don't do that. Alrighty. Okay. That makes more sense. What I wasn't understanding, exactly. What I wasn't understanding was how you got from one step to the next. But and I'm trying to stick close to the instructions so that you can follow along. Please go in there. It's harder to knit, sometimes thread that than my needle. There's a ton of oil in here. All right. Okay, so now we have our 4 slippers. And put this inside out. We're going to sew now along this perimeter here. But let's make, like she said, let's make sure. So we have a, okay, so that's one, and that's the other. And then this one would go inside, right? Because it's inside out and this one's right side out, so that would fit in there, and that one will go with that one. So what I'm confused on is when I would stick the sole in there. Because she says to do that at one point, but then it would be kind of loose, you know? All right, so let's put this inside. And right sides together along this top, and see we have our hole here. Turn it. And sew it. We've clipped that end of that seam right there. This is a little awkward. So I'm going to go let's straighten this out here so it's a little easier to see. Straighten this side out. I tend to just start sewing before I've straightened it all out. But let's straighten it all out so you can see. And I'm going to pivot at that point, but I really want to make sure I get all of these layers lined up so that I don't like miss one, especially in that spot, you know. It's a little awkward. All right, so I'm going to try and flip this over. Yeah, that's a good idea, Mrs. Necro. Whew, it's a little hard right here. It's kind of bulky. I really hope I got that. Let's get this all, there we go, away from that kind of like point there. Right here, this little point here. Ooh, I caught the other side of the zipper. Or the slipper, not zipper. Did I? Did I? I did something there. That doesn't look right. I'm taking that out. See right there? See that right there? All right. Let's find a better way to pivot right here. This is one of those where it's kind of sneaky that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was going to be hard. You know? Let's take out a little bit. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to do this part again because it is really hard. The good thing is with things like polar fleece, it's going to kind of cover up all your little bobbles, you know? All right, so let's line that up better. Looked okay on the inside. Like it looked accurate on that side. All right, let's just be better about it. I just need to get good, right? Okay, everything's lined up this time. I don't see any extra there. I don't think I do. No. Go down to that pivot point. And pivot. This is kind of hard right here. When do I say that? I think that one way you could make this easier is if you, this pattern right here, this part right here, if you actually made this a, like you came up like this, just, I'm exaggerating it. That way you have a seam right here, you know what I mean? And then that way when you go around it's a circle and you have a right angle where those join. That would make this easier. All right, so maybe I will try, am I sewing it from this side? I am. I'm gonna pin it kind of away from that seam. Try and get these fabrics to kind of stay lined up. Look at that, I even have a little tuck there. It was once an easy project. I really hope when I turn this to the right side, it's okay. Kind of want to turn it the other way now. I'm try-harding. Ray, hi Ray. Thank you. You're so sweet. Always perking me up while I'm at my struggling self here. We're learning for the other slippers, right? All right, let's try that again. I'm trying this, sewing this from the lining side now. It's a widow swipper. It's a little bit of a hole. Let me smooth that out right there. It looks like it's gonna be okay. Let's see here. Let's get this seam allowance right here open on this lining side like that. Yeah. Meow. Can see what I'm looking at here. Trying to get all these layers nice and flat and spread out. And I want to pivot right here. See, that angle right there isn't quite right. Pull out a couple more. There we go. It feels smooth under there. Oh, kinda. We'll see. I broke the thread. I shouldn't have pulled that much, I guess. Now you can see how hard it is to thread this. Oh, you can't even see this little thing I'm threading. It's just that little thread, the needle guide, you know? But it's looking pretty good on this side, right? Okay, let's try it again. Spread this apart. I'm gonna reinforce it. It's obviously gonna be kind of a point of stress, you know? Like, there's my little tuck. You see that? I'm just going to pull this apart and smooth it out. It's probably invisible on the right side because of the fleece. The elastic. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, there were some good suggestions. I won't spoil it for you. Okay, I'm just checking it over. This looks a little messy, but I'm kind of don't want to poke the bear. What's that? That's not where I pivoted, is it? This is when you really wish you had sewn it in Polar Fleece, because Polar Fleece covers up so much. I went through such a great phase of sewing Polar Fleece when it first came out. You could buy it retail. I think it helped that my fabric store at the time was next to or near a outdoor company. All right, so we're gonna, and we just got their extras, you know. All right, so let's pull this all out. Oh, I feel a pin. I thought I had one more in there. I had 3. Pull this all out. And then let's look at this before we spend too much time tucking in there. Okay, I don't have any holes and the seam lines up. So I'm calling that a win. Poke the sea otters. If you could sew the cup on each side and just overlap in the back instead of doing a circle. I don't think so. It's at the front that little pivot point is. It's looking like a slipper. This thing's cozy. I'm really glad I added ease because it's kind of this is kind of bulky, you know. I can't even get my hand in there because it's so little. Let's poke it in there. And I think I'm going to skip the stiffener. Just kind of seating it in there. So yeah, your idea of making it so that she doesn't pull out the lining when she pulls her foot, I think that's a good one. I'm wondering if you could do that by maybe stitching in the ditch right here on the seam of the toe instead of having to pivot. Yeah, exactly. I think the lining could be a little smaller because right now, what I'm feeling in here right now along this side is the lining's kind of, it's wrinkly. You know what I mean? Because the lining should be a little smaller if it's going on the inside, especially if it's bulky. All right, so we need to close up that seam still. If it was Sherpa though, that little cuff would be so cute, wouldn't it? It's okay. I kind of want to stitch around where the cuff folds, but you can also have it up to keep your ankle warm. My fabric selections were just pretty limited as far as picking out so many. I had a lot of fabrics, but they were a lot of pastels for infants, and then a lot of like stereotypical fabrics, like probably, I don't know, like space and cars, unicorns. All right. Hello, Adina. How's it going? I loved all your comments yesterday. Thanks for rewatching the stream. All right, so here we are. We've got our little slipper. This actually doesn't look bad to you. It doesn't look bad to me, actually. I kind of thought this was going to be a part that I was going to be like, ugh, you know, but it's actually okay. And I think if you picked a better lining color to go with the outer, it'd be fine, or the same fabric, you know. This is cute. So now this is when she says, if you got inserts, and I just use stiffener, you could stick them in right now through that little hole. I mean, we could try it. And I cut this down by like a fat quarter or like 3/8 of an inch. See that? I made it that much smaller. So let's see. I'm suspicious. I think that because it wouldn't be stitched down somewhere, that I might float around eventually, you know? I have the E's on there to designate which kid they were because they were so similar. That's all that is. It's not a secret code. Well, it is a secret code, but it's not a secret. It's a code. So yeah, this is just like a sewable, washable stiffener that I use a lot in patterns. If you're around me a lot, you'll hear me talk about it a lot. It's just something I used a lot at my last business. I like it. It's not fusible or anything. You can get it fusible though. It's like Pellon 70 if you buy it in the store, but mine's a little stiffer, I've learned, than that one. All right, so it's in there. It's wrinkled right there. So I probably should have cut it down even more. So if you're going to put a sole in there and then you make the sole to go in there, like even if you use the suede, like there's a big old bump in there. I would cut it down like a 1/2 inch around the perimeter. Yeah, Melinda, right? If you don't need to go outside, you don't even need to do the non-slip. But I just thought I'd show you guys that. All right, so I'm going to sew this shut. And I'm going to use my machine, so look away if you think that I'm breaking some sort of sewing rule. You haven't been here long enough. There are no rules. So I made these a 1/2 inch bigger, at least in length, plus the seam allowance. Oh no, Melinda! When's her birthday? Oh, her birthday's in the fall. You know, Melinda, just gonna say, the fall is a really nice time to get a coat. I'm lining this seam up right here. I kind of want to tack it like, was that Mrs. Necro that suggested that? Because it does, the lining feels a little too big in there, but this is pretty much done. Maybe I'll find a little bobble to put right here. You can even put one right here to cover up your juncture if it's a hot mess. Put a little bow here or whatever, a button, a flower, whatever you want right there. I think I'm going to do that just to keep, like you can put it right there to cover up your thing there. Oh, maybe I don't want to stitch that shut with the machine. Look, it shows. Darn it. I did break a rule. All right, I'll hand stitch that later and I'll leave the other one to hand stitch later as well. Or I just want to send them cuffed. She doesn't need to cuff them. Cuffing's for the birds. All right. It feels so squishy and soft. All right, let's do our other one. And say goodbye to the insoles. I've got so many soles out. Nice, Adina. I like knitting socks. You're waiting on, oh yeah. Yeah. Knitting socks is really fun. So satisfying. Oh my gosh, you're waiting for needles? Oh! Can you borrow anybody's? You know? Maybe trim this seam down even further too. I think that would make it fit in there better. That might be in the directions to trim this seam down more than I did. I was being a little conservative, and I think that this would be a good idea, especially on one of them at least, right? So, oh nice, Adina, that'll be awesome. I was gonna make my brother a shirt too, but I don't even have fabric. I just realized yesterday that Christmas is 2 weeks away tomorrow. And that I kind of went, oh, I'm off the hook now. Oh. It could be a New Year's gift. You know? Wink, wink. Oh, wow, Adina. You know, I grew up with a dad who's a firefighter, and it was, I think, every third year we celebrated Christmas on Christmas Day because it was an ABC shift, you know? And it was no big deal to me. I think I've said that before. Like, we actually, it felt like wherever day we celebrated it on, it felt like the day because we were all there and having a good time. And on the holiday, whatever holiday it was, I'm cutting this really close. It's kind of like my scissors grab that non-skid stuff and keep me too close. We would go to the movies, and there was nobody there, and I love the movies, so I loved that. Oh, an Ellie and Mac pattern. Nice. Make sure you've clipped that little edge. See that right there? So you can see, like, if this seam actually just came up a tiny bit and went around, you'd have a nice continuous circle. Look for my free cozy slipper pattern. I'm just teasing. I never do that. I know people think I do that, but I don't. Okay. Let's start going. So this time we're mentally prepared for that pivot point, right? Oh, that's so nice, Ray. When I first moved here, someone from where I used to live in this really like random way said, oh, you're moving to Chico. My mom lives there and she's in a knitting group. And so she connected me to this really amazing knitting group that met in this woman's house. She's Welsh, and her mother still lived with her, who was in her 90s. And it was a little overwhelming at first because you're like in someone's living room, you know? But the crowd was just so really lovely, and the mother, they're both Welsh, she would just sit there and knit socks constantly. And she knit me a pair, and she could knit a pair of socks every day. I think it was like every day. And she had a favorite yarn, you know? So, all right, I'm getting to that point, and I feel like I'm not mentally prepared at all. All right, let's get these seams open. I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to prepare it a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm pushing my lining in there to be more flat, like as if it's going to lay when it's completely done. Shifting that lining seam over to line up better. Yeah, Dina, yeah, I know. Well, why don't you know, I said that once too, and then I started one. She was a legend. She passed away a couple years ago, and I wasn't going to that knitting group anymore, but I definitely was sad to hear that. She sang and played the piano too. And I still wear the socks she knit me. In fact, of all the knit socks I have, those are my favorite. She was great. I mean, her knitting was amazing. And she could just do it mindlessly. She would just say, what's your foot length, love? And then that's what she would make you, you know. But, all right, so I'm getting these all lined up. Fingers are doing a lot right now. I'm just kind of spreading out the fabric, lining it up. Trying to get this, push this down a little bit more, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to kind of spreading all that fabric nice and flat, lining up all these raw edges. I'm going to pin it far away from the seam to keep it that way. I think that helped a lot. Same thing here. So yeah, Dina, I did that. I had lived in a little town, and my friend owned a yarn store in the biggest town of the county. Biggest, it was still only 25,000 people. And I would go to her knitting group on Sundays. It was kind of a schlep, you know, to go there and everything. But I just kind of made it a thing because my favorite little bagel place was across the street and all that. It was more like my opportunity to have a really yummy snack. But I started one at our brewery, and I don't drink beer, but the Mad River Brewery is there, you know, Steelhead Pale Ale. And I lived across the little creek from it. And I put up a little note at the post office because everyone got their mail at the post office. I was really nervous. And I just put up a little note that said knitting and crafting and handwork group at the brewery, whatever night it was. And my first night, you know, I was like, my husband went with me and I was like, you know, will you please go with me? What if no one shows up? And I had told a couple of friends, but they lived kind of far away. And then someone came, and then another person came, and then the gal who worked behind it was like a tap room. They have a tap room there. I'm getting this little bump here, but I'm trying to keep this nice and lined up. It's like the lining is, see how it's lower? Arg. I think I need to sew it from the lining side because of that. That's what I'm working on right now. Can you see that? Are you taking off, Nicole? Bye. See ya. Yeah. Oh, you started when you had 5 minutes and COVID hit. Can you do it on Zoom? Yeah. That's really cool, Mrs. Necro. You know, I know the Zoom thing's just not as satisfying, but I have seen folks doing that around me, and they're really liking it. All right, I'm gonna start again. I know of a couple folks that, like designers that host them that aren't too large if you want their names. All right, let's try this. My lining is kind of creeping down a little lower. I got a lot of pins in there. They're stout for this tiny little space. All right, so trying to keep all these seams open. I want to pivot there. You did have a knitting group, and now you don't have your knitting group. Oh, such a bummer. I feel like I lost a layer, but it is only 3. Maybe it just feels thick at that seam because of the turned back seam allowance. Now I have a tickle. Tara, you and Ray cracked me up about this. Oh, how's your sewing Zoom going then? That's pretty neat. You got any tips for me? You guys are all welcome to use that Facebook group to start a sewing Zoom. Like, please feel free. I'm all about creating community however you want, you know? Or whatever you are, knitting group. All right, let's see how I did. My pivot point's off on this side. I've got all the layers at least this time around. I don't have any tucks this time, so that's nice. It's all in all a little better, but see my pivot point right there isn't on this seam. This one's turned back, this one's open. It's not on that seam right there, but it is on this side. See, it's right there. Do I let that go? Maybe what I could do to kind of smooth it over is just clip into that a little bit. Yeah, I know it's cheating. I don't want to hear it. All right, let me trim this edge here because I didn't get it very even. Let's try and do it smoother, Jeremy. Come on, come on. All right. All right, let's pull it through this little hole here. Ray only accepts fully prepared boys. I'm still learning patience too. Alright, so I'm just going to pull this out. Just rolling it in my fingertips. I think trimming that seam around the perimeter was a really good idea. It feels so much less bulky that I should probably, when I go to take that seam out right here and hand sew it, I'll probably trim the perimeter. It's probably in the instructions to do that and I missed it. maybe because I had them out of the wrong order. I had them in the wrong order. All right, let's turn it in there. Yeah, it already feels a little less bulky. I don't like how the lining kind of wrinkles up right here though. Let's pull it back to the heel. Maybe that'll help. All right. So my last step is just to sew up that little hole. Oh yeah, that feels a lot better. Doing this, I kind of pushed it toward the heel. Get rid of some of the wrinkle there, and I think trimming that seam allowance. Look at how much nicer this one sits. Except for right here, that pivot point's a little funky. See that? You can see I got that one better. Dang. But look at that. Now this is nice and flat right here. This one's a little bulky. Can you tell that? Look at that. Look at the difference by trimming that perimeter seam allowance. You guys know that? All right. That's as far as I'm going on those. I'm going to hand sew that shut, I think, so that that little seam doesn't show up like that if she wants to turn it down, because it's kind of spreading apart the fuzz, you know. I wonder if I would top stitch this little perimeter here. No, I feel like that's a recipe for disaster. Although you could do it to nothing right here. So you could start and go like this, like a little 1/4 inch, just to kind of get this rolled to the right side, you know. Well, that sounds good, Terry. I've been craving fish and chips. Yeah, sorry, Mrs. Necro. Dude, I am not sorry. Of all the dumb TikToks and now the Instagram reels and all that junk and those songs, those things are stuck in my head 24/7. Yeah, Noemi. You're right, right? And it's my first pair. So my nephew will get a slightly nicer pair. Hi, Violet. How's it going? Nice to see you. Yeah, aren't they cute? Little sea otter from my niece. I sewed this one a little better around the perimeter here because we trimmed the seam allowance a lot more. But I didn't nail my pivot point there like I did on this one. But I'm going to take that little seam out here, trim that perimeter, and then I'll just, honestly, I'll just probably go like, you know, let those touch to each other. Just put a few stitches in it. You know, hand sew it shut. So, you love that song, yeah? From the Muppet Show. I've never had catfish. Sounds really good though. There's a really, really good fish and chips place really close to my office. But my husband's like, I want some of that. And taking that all the way like 22 miles away, that's just not, that's one way to put someone off fish and chips. It'd be all soggy. And I feel bad if I eat them by myself. He'll have to come in town. Oh, pressure for black beans. Ooh, I'm hungry right now. But I'm kind of done. All right, so let's see. We made those and we made the bag, which I've already lost. What'd I do with it? Did I lose the bag already? You know what? I think I'm not recognizing it because it's all sewn up now. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's all folded up. So we made the little reusable bag here with the free pattern. We added the elastic ourselves. You know, that's a little confusing. You might want to stitch it all the way down, this piece all the way down, you know. There we go. I made 2 gifts. These are my only Christmas gifts I've got done. Yeah. There we go. That is pretty big too. Those pleats make it look a little deceptive, but it'll hold a lot. You could even stitch down this edge of the pleat if you really wanted to encourage it. You could just do like, look, it's a circle. See? Just stitch it. Stitch it good, right? All right, so Saturday is the Gathering Apron by So Liberated. Pin tucks abound, and today I released 3 new patterns, 5-ish p.m. Pacific. There'll be wallaby, webbing for the wallaby, and zipper by the yard for the notions wedgie, or whatever you want to use them for. And then kits for pocket buckets will be out soon, but not today. I can't get it done because we lost the internet yesterday, because someone had to set his briefcase on the cords. And that's it. So anyway, have a good rest of your week, you guys. You're almost there. I'm not. You're almost there. It's Thursday. Woo! And I'll see you on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific to make the apron. And can I show you what it looks like? I don't have a picture of it here, but we cut it out yesterday. So, all right, you guys. I'll see you Saturday. Have a good one, and happy sewing. And yeah, enjoy. Yes, I will be selling Zipper by the Yard. It'll be really cheap. In fact, I had to sell it so that it would be 10 sliders and 10 14-inch lengths, so that it would be more than like 25 cents. It was 25 cents, literally, something like that. So yeah, all right, I'll see you guys soon.